Welcome to Mind Pioneer, the podcast where host Scott Donnell interviews experts in health, wellness, and technology.
Is that whatever your mind can conceive and you believe, you must be able to achieve. And so there's nothing to stop me. When I was getting doors slammed in my face on my bicycle, trying to sell driveway sealing, I said, I just got to shift it a little bit here, pivot, because these people want this, but I haven't figured it out yet, right? Yeah. So don't give up, just keep plugging, and enthusiastically acting upon is one of the key parts of that whole process.
I want to start, Kevin. Everyone's going to know exactly who you are. World famous, one of the original Sharks, over 22 businesses, 21 businesses now that you've taken.
21, over 100 million, yeah.
21 businesses that you've taken over $100 million. You are the guru when it comes to entrepreneurship, and I'm chasing you with everything I've got. I love it. You always want someone to look up to. But let's start with your first business when you were young. Let's talk about what was your first, give us a crazy story of business when you were a kid.
So I started in my dad's restaurants. My dad actually was a bartender, and he wanted to be an entrepreneur, saved up enough money to open Harrington's Irish Pub. So when I was in there at 11 years old, I started bar backing, dishwashing, serving, all that. But not only that, my dad said, look, anybody can do that. I can pay you by the hour. I want to bring you in the back. I want you to see the numbers. I want you to see the cost of this business, where the income's coming from, the profit in the bar side of the business, and food being a little tighter because of the high food costs. And so he taught me how to be an entrepreneur. And then when I turned 15, he said, I think it's time, you got to go start a business. And I found out a neighbor of mine, not next door, but somebody had been in this black topping business and doing very, very well. And I heard the story of it in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I grew up. If you had a crack in your asphalt driveway and the water got in there and then froze in the winter, tripled the size of the crack. So I would knock on doors, 15 years old, drive on my bicycle. I found out I couldn't drive from door to door because if I'm sitting there with my bike, they're looking at me like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Are you the owner of the company? And, so I drive to the neighborhood, park my bike somewhere, and then I would walk the neighborhood. And the key thing was this, because the very first time I did this, actually, my sister had bought a home, and she says, hey, come on out to my neighborhood and give it a try, because, I live out here. So I did. And I got 20 people that said, no. Some slammed the door. Some said, I'm busy eating and this and that. And then I was so dejected. I'm like, I hadn't made a sale yet, right? So I tell my sister, I said, I think I got to come up with something unique. And I think maybe because people kept asking, where have you done a job that I can go take a look at? I'm going to do your job for the cost of materials. I said to my sister, my brother-in-law, and it was like $10. Okay. So I said, I'll do your driveway. I put a sign across there, but I'm going to take a picture before and a picture after. And now I'm going to go back into the same neighborhood and see how many people I can get. We did over 20 jobs in that neighborhood after I did the first one. So it became a credibility issue because I was, 15 years old knocking on someone's door and they're thinking, how good a job can this guy do? But we did an amazing job because I had training and also some of the best product in the marketplace. So that was really my first kind of entrepreneurial thing. And I was doing 10 driveways a week all summer long.
Wow.
Had a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Okay. So you had the spark. I mean, there's two types of people, batteries included and batteries not included. You were completely batteries included. So what was it about business in general that made you excited about getting into that world versus doctor or lawyer or accountant or teacher? What about business made you want to get into that?
So when I looked at other professions, and when I was in grade school, I wanted to be a fireman, and that's a great profession, but also it's a question of, are you going to be happy with the finances? Ultimately, people have to decide, do they want to build something and be very, very successful. And along with that comes financial gains, et cetera? Or do they want to just, be happy in their day-to-day life and in the community, et cetera? And so for me, I said, I want to build something. I want to build something big. I want to build something global. I'm not an inventor. I deal with inventors and I've licensed hundreds of products, but I would actually try to invent stuff around the house because I'm like, I know I just had this, like I would wake up with a passion to do something and be productive and solve problems, right? So when the problem that I solved, when I got into my next, I say my next venture, it wasn't my next one, but because after I did the driveway sealing, that was only a summertime business. I got into college. I needed something full-time. So I said, what's year round? Well, heating and air conditioning. So I started installing furnaces and air conditioning systems. And what I did was I went to the courthouse and I got a list of every real estate transaction in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I was born, cross-referenced it, got their phone numbers. We called them and we said, congratulations on the purchase of your house. We're going to come out and clean your furnace for free and give you a free safety check as a welcome gift for buying your house. And 80% of the people said, when can you get here? And of course, we'd go out and every single home we went to had a pilot light that would burn 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Of course, we would clean it because that's what we told them we're going to do, but we'd also show them that there was new technology called a spark ignition that sparked when the furnace needed the pilot light to go on. Then the pilot light went on and then the heat went on, saving you 20% on your heating bill. So I had the rights to this back in the 70s, and I was selling 15 of these a week while I was a freshman in college. And by the time I got to the end of the first year, I had 25 employees, 6 trucks going out every single day while I was going to school. And awesome. I did that for 2 years until I just couldn't take school anymore. So I'm a college dropout, I hate to say, but I had, the equivalent of a $5 million business my freshman year in college. So wow. I loved every bit of it.
Yep. I love that. And you said solving problems, right? Solving problems for a profit. I think that what you just touched on is what we are so interested in teaching kids about, right? Because they go through this assembly style school structure and they're not thinking about solving problems around you, right? Find a need, fill a need in the community. What can you do to solve a problem? That is how people should be thinking, because I think kids don't realize in 10 years, half the jobs are going to be made up. They're going to be new industries, new technologies, problems solved by men and women like you and I. And so that's a brilliant thought, is find a problem and solve that problem. That's a great way to learn.
That's how inventors work. They walk around the house and look at things they're having trouble with and solve it and create the product. That I deal with inventors on every level like that.
Yeah. And every inventor needs a multiplier, right? And because it's just as hard, I think, to invent something as it is to find the right channel to serve people with the invention or the problem solving, right? Marketing to me is one of the hardest things in the world, and I'm a born marketer. And it's every day I'm learning about behavior science. I'm learning about what channels to try, throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks. What are your thoughts on marketing? What are your thoughts on what can people do to kind of learn, okay, I've got a great idea. I've got a cool product. We work with a ton of people that have inventions and new ideas. What's the best way for them to get that out to the world, or think about getting it out to the world?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's in the old days, because I created this world of as seen on TV and infomercials, and
the father of webinars and infomercials. This is who you are. Yep.
Hey, so, thank you. But I was sitting there watching my cable TV when cable first came into my city, Cincinnati. It was 30 channels. I got to channel 30 and nothing was there. It was the Discovery Channel. I called them and they said, oh, Discovery is only an 18-hour-a-day network because it has a problem. It doesn't have enough money to produce 24 hours a day. So 6 hours a day is dead airtime. And I said, well, so that's a problem. I said, okay, if I'm the TV station, the cable company, how do I solve that problem? Well, let's get 6 more hours. But it doesn't have to be entertaining program. It could be selling programs that can make money, self-liquidates itself. So I didn't want to produce movies or television shows. I wanted to produce shows that sold products and provided an income stream for the TV station and for me. So that was a problem-solving situation. I got 6 hours a day on Discovery Channel on a nationwide basis back in the early 80s. Wow. And that created the infomercial industry. Yep. And again, solving a problem in the marketplace. And then we got more time on more channels, and then we went global, and we were filling airwaves in Europe, Latin America, Asia, the Middle East, et cetera. So you just never know where it's going to come from. And so I hope I answered your question. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And it actually, that moves perfectly into thinking, like mindset. Okay. We got to talk about this book for a second. Mentor to Millions. This is your newest book. USA Today #1 bestseller, right? You just hit. Well,
we hit New York Times. We hit Wall Street Journal #2. USA Today was pretty close to that, but okay. We don't have the last numbers yet, but it was huge, and #1 on Amazon in 9 categories.
I love it. I love it.
The Wall Street Journal is data. It's on how many books are sold. We're #2 to Dan Rather, and I feel pretty proud about that. So
that is fantastic. I mean, I literally bought hundreds of these things. I'm giving out to our investors, our friends. I love the book, not just because I love Mark, but the stories in here are fantastic. And you talk about curiosity. You talk about mindset. You talk about have a plan, make an action. I love the mindset part. And I think what you're touching on is your mindset from very early on was thinking through, finding problems, finding channels. There is an answer to a lot of unknown solutions in the world. So tell me about mindset in this book. When you think about how to approach a situation in your life, right, what's the mindset you have to have?
So I a couple different things, and Mark, Tim, and I both were fortunate. I met Mark through a mutual mentor of both of us. Zig Ziglar. Zig had mentored Mark. Zig had mentored me when he passed away, and I connected with Tom Ziglar and like, hey, Tom, you've got all these amazing assets that Zig created. What's the plan? And then he hooked me and Mark up and said, you guys should talk. And then I started mentoring Mark along the way. But I think that Zig had an unbelievable mindset, and it was my same mindset and that I learned from him. You can get everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. And so that was a true mindset for me. And I think that it was also, so the concept of not having to always be, getting something out of people, but giving back, right? And so I started the Entrepreneurs Organization. And by the way, we called it the Young Entrepreneurs Organization when we first started it, 1987. Michael Dell, Ted Leonsis, myself, Vern Harnish, handful of guys. We said we want young entrepreneurs to be able to network with other young entrepreneurs. And to this day now, we changed the name to EO along the way because we all got older, and in the beginning you had to be under 40, right? Well, yeah. Now I'm way above that. So we changed the name to Entrepreneurs Organization. We're in 150 countries, all around the world, cities. I mean, you name it, from India to China to Europe to Latin America. We empower entrepreneurs, and this is me giving back to the entrepreneurial community. But I also have one other mindset thing that's important, and this came from Napoleon Hill. And Think and Grow Rich was it was the first book I read that shifted my mind. And Me too. And basically Napoleon's concept, I'm going to say it a little bit different than he does, but whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. And so I wake up every single morning with that mindset, and I have since I was 15 years old, because that's what I learned from Napoleon Hill, is that whatever your mind can conceive and you believe, you must be able to achieve. And so there's nothing to stop me. When I was getting doors slammed in my face on my bicycle, trying to sell driveway sealing, I said, I just got to shift it a little bit here, pivot, because these people want this, but I haven't figured it out yet, right? So don't give up, just keep plugging, and enthusiastically acting upon is one of the key parts of that whole process.
Man, I love that. This exponential thinking and this vivid thinking is so cool. We just had this story. Travis, actually 10 years ago, he helped me launch Apex, the largest school fundraising franchise in America. Now we've served 3 million kids, but I remember vividly, it was literally, we were talking, I think we were having dinner at some restaurant in the middle of Dallas somewhere. And we thought, wouldn't it be cool to help 1 million kids with leadership and fitness and learning these life skills that now we have myfirstsale.com and now this stuff. And we just sat there and we thought, that would be unbelievable. And then we thought, well, how do we even get there? And then we literally started thinking, okay, here's what the company looks like with 1 million customers. Here's what the company needs to have in terms of leadership, in terms of teams. We just worked backwards. And then we got all the way down to what we're doing tomorrow. And I think it was like 2016 or 2015, we hit our 1,000,000th, and it was like, boom. And then we hit 2 million within a year. And it was just like, boom, boom, boom.
Put a plan together. So you had the vision, then you had the plan, then you had the execution. I don't know how you got it funded, if you needed a lot of funding, but that oftentimes is something that is a hurdle that entrepreneurs run into. And so that's why
we had schools pay us $1,000 to book their spot. So we ended up getting our first 50 grand in booking fees, and that helped us build the site and everything else. Now with Happy, with the biotech company, we raised $8.5 million, and now we're doing our IPO here pretty quick. It's going to be a ton of fun, but that's more of a hardware investment growth, right?
That's fantastic. Nice.
My thing is just find something you're passionate about that solves a huge need and go after it, just like Napoleon Hill, enthusiastically with a clear vision, and it's bound to happen. I love that.
Exactly. Yes. That I wake every morning. I feel, like ready to rumble, ready to go.
Yep. And I got to ask you this too, because we have a ton of, entrepreneurs and their families that listen, biohackers, people who love to hack their mind. You do not look your age, sir. How old are you? You got to tell us.
I just had a birthday last week, and I turned 64.
Okay.
So,
well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay.
Some days I feel 64, but thanks for saying I don't look 64. But today I feel great. You get little tweaks and arthritis here and there, but I'm good. I work out, I eat right, I don't drink. I'm just, I said years ago, I want to live a long life. And it's when my father, when he was 90, I sat down with him and he's like, Kevin, he said, if I'd have known I was going to live this long, I'd have started taking care of myself a lot better, a lot sooner. Okay. Because his last few years weren't so good, but he lived till he was 93. So I got some good genes, and I just believe that you're given a body and you should take care of it. And the longer you're going to be around, the more important that is, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and that's,
so thanks for the compliment though.
And it comes back to mindset, right? I mean, I'm 34.
Yeah.
My dad's 64, same as you. Yeah. And I love that type of thinking is you get one body, start early, and think you're going to live a long time, right? We do this, we do this exercise in Strategic Coach with Dan Sullivan. He's one of my closest mentors. The first thing we do is, how old are you going to live? You literally write down a death age. And then he says, what if the day before you died, you were doing exactly what you wanted. You were healthy as an ox. You were in your passion. You were in your unique ability. You had enough cash confidence to make it for the next 50 years. You think you'd die the next day? No, there's no way. So what we did is the lifetime extender principle.
I like that.
Everybody said, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to die at 80 like my dad or my grandpa or my uncle or whatever they think in their minds. Maybe I am going to live to 100, 130, 140, right? Dave Asprey says he's going to live to 180, I think is his number.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But Dave's a good guy. I love Dave.
He's one of our main advisors for Happy. And he's been phenomenal in this thinking. And he says, you have to think long-term about your life, right? The two professions that die the fastest after retiring are doctors and insurance actuaries. And it's because they live their whole life calculating death.
Oh,
And
wow.
they think that when am I going to die? Oh, it's based on that stat here because of this age,
Right.
demographic. And
That's funny. A good friend of mine's an actuary, and he's probably figured it out. And when he gets to that year, he's going to be, starting to feel not so good, right? Because he's conditioned it in his mind. That's
right.
crazy.
And how many people out there think the same way because their relative or parent died the same time, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like uncharted territory. It must be biological. I'm not going to make it. So,
when you said how long are you going to live, I automatically thought, my dad lived till he was 93, so I should be able to live till longer than that,
Right.
So, so I'm going to go very well. Hey, I don't know about 180, but let's go north of 100, right?
Yeah, you're going to have to implant your brain in some blood boy to be able to get to that level. But I hope Dave makes it. That'd be fantastic. And I think we can. But again, it's mindset, right? The funny joke that Dan Sullivan tells is, hey, I might be wrong. His goal is 156 is Dan's goal. He's like, I may be wrong, but the day after I die, who cares? Like it's all how you think about it. Right.
Right.
And so,
exactly.
So the same principle is true in anything in your life, whether it's your family, whether it's your business, whether it's your health, whether it's your mind, your mentality, your spiritual life. So I love that, man. That's like the best topic I feel like you could be teaching everybody about today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had one more big thing for you about family. Okay.
Right.
Tell us about your being a crazy okay, I'm saying crazy because I'm one too. Being a crazy entrepreneur.
It's a positive thing.
Yeah, that's right. I don't have a clock. I think and I go and I do the things I love and I solve the problems I see. How do you raise a family in that type of an environment? Everyone listening to this is almost all of them are entrepreneurs or busy, hard charging families.
Yeah.
What's your advice?
Well, it is a little challenging. I mean, I'm one of 6 kids myself, Cincinnati, Ohio. My dad, mom, we all 8 of us lived in one home and it had 2 bathrooms. I said the 6 of us had one bathroom and my parents had the other. And we fought like crazy to see who got in there first in the morning and all that good stuff. But, it's my dad as an entrepreneur, he was in the restaurant business and it was a tough business. It took him away quite a bit because he was open till 2 a.m. and they opened at 11 o'clock for lunch. So he would get home at 3 a.m. and then leave at 10 a.m. to go, and literally work that whole shift for many, many years. So I would see him on a daily basis, but he wasn't there for dinners and obviously worked so hard that sometimes, but on weekends it was tough. So I realized I want to do something different. And so yes, I have I have 2 boys now. One, they're both grown and out of the house, but 32 and 22. And I think that as I grew up as an entrepreneur, my father ended up retiring from the restaurant business. And I said, hey, Dad, why don't you come to work in my business? So my dad worked for me for like 15 years. And then I brought my brother into the business. And then my brother had children and one of his kids joined him. My 2 boys are in the business now. And so, as an entrepreneur, I believe that if the family it can be part of it. And this was Mark Tim discovered this. He incorporated his family. And so for me, I never went to that formality, but my father, me, my brothers, my kids, my nephews and nieces, we're all in the business, right? And so I like to have many of the family members be able to participate along the way, and so it's important though that you also have separate time that is non-business, and I do a lot of just I keep my life by a calendar, and I calendar like this. I'm probably going to go see the World Series, and go travel a little bit. And earlier this week, I was in Chicago playing golf at one of the greatest golf courses in America, Medina Golf Course in Chicago. And 3 weeks ago, I was at Whistling Straits. So I get to do my private things that I like to do, but then I also have the exact same things that I do with the family. And so this weekend, I'll take my wife along for the trip. So, it's important that the family is part of what you're doing, because if they feel alienated, it's not going to work. You're going to build the business all to yourself and not have a happy home life. So it's important to be transparent with all of that, and make sure that you put reins around it to the best that you can. Because I know, Scott, you're a crazy entrepreneur like I am, so sometimes it gets tough, right? You're at a dinner and a very important call comes through and you're not supposed to take it. What do? Well, maybe you get back to them later then, right? So it's challenging, but family is what it's all about. And that's why I learned the hard way, with not having some of the best partners in the world, that having family was the one way to make sure that it all came together in a very powerful fashion.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I remember, my first business was in 3rd grade, making bead geckos and little keychains and things like that. I grew up in this world, 4 generations of entrepreneurs. My grandpa was Reagan's bank chair. And, we just have this mindset from a young age that you're going to, your money is going to have its place. It's not the idol. It's a tool. You're going to learn profit. You're going to learn grit. You're going to learn delayed gratification. That's, this is why we mentor thousands of kid entrepreneurs, because all their families want the exact same thing you just said. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I love what the program you're doing. Because kids too often, like my dad, he did mentor me, and he said, Kevin, I want to show you the operating side of this business, the financial side, and I want you to be ready to get started in the business. Very few people have a father like that, though, right? I mean, they're busy. If they're running corporate this or that, they're not, telling their kids what to do and how to do it in business all the time like that. And so I was a lucky guy, and I think that's maybe one of the reasons why I've ended up being very entrepreneurial and as you say, crazy entrepreneurial. Okay.
Yep. It's a life sentence. You might as well enjoy it.
I do. Thank you.
I'm unemployable, I think, is the synonym for entrepreneur. So
that's right. Exactly.
All right. Well, we don't have much time. I know you're busy, and we're honored that you're here with us today. Any last advice to the families out there that are listening in on this, whether they're entrepreneurial, they're hard charging? Yeah. What do you got for them?
I say this because I run through airports and people, they'll stop me. Hey, you're that guy from Shark Tank. I've got just one question. I'm a young entrepreneur. How can I be successful? Is there any guarantee? And I said, no, there's no guarantee, but let me tell you what I learned early on. And it involves mentoring, because I said I was growing a business and I needed capital. And people say, oh, we'll go to the bank and get lines of credit and get some loans. And I did. And 5 banks told me, no. And so I thought, well, but I got this great business. It's profitable. Why can't I get money? Because there was no security. So I ran into a banker that had retired. He was the former bank president of one of the biggest banks in my city. And I got talking to him, telling him about my business and the problems I was having. And he said, I'm going to do something that I don't know if anyone who's ever done this, but I'm going to mentor you. I'm going to get you a bank line. I know how. He says, one of the guys that turned you down, I'm going to get him to give you the money, because I know how to talk to bankers.
That's
and
awesome.
You don't. So we got a $3 million line of credit, and we 10x the size of the company. So I say, you need mentors. You need a dream team, and one may not be enough. And so as I built my businesses, I've surrounded myself with smart people. Now, I didn't do this in the very beginning, and it cost me, because as a young entrepreneur, I thought every dime I pay out is less than I get. No. You need a good support team. You need a good CFO. You need good operations people.
Yep.
And I'm not saying go hire 5 full-time employees and all the profits are gone. You can get some of these people for free. Mentors, a lot of mentors are doing it because they're giving back to the entrepreneurial community. They're giving back to the youth out there. So if you're a young entrepreneur, if you're starting a business, don't go it alone. And I think this is why, Scott, they tune into you, and you mentor these people. And then maybe, like, do you teach all aspects? Do you teach digital marketing and all of that kind of stuff? So they need someone like you. And for those that have you, they're lucky. For those that don't, they need someone like you or like me in their life to be able to guide them along the way, at least in the beginning. You don't need someone forever holding your hand every step of the way, but you in the beginning, I say it's most important because you can learn along the way from those mistakes that the mentors have made. And one last thing that I want to say is that always begin with the end in mind. So you're building a business. What's the goal? Oh, well, some people say, I just want to build it. Well, do you want to sell it? Do you want to cash out? Do you want to take chips off the table? If so, there's things you need to do along the way. And one of them is just making sure that you've got people that have had exits and know valuations and things like that. So begin with the end in mind and get a good dream team around you. And you're going to have a much better chance of big success.
Yeah, that's well said. I can't even put a dollar amount to me personally, not to mention my network and my family and friends, to what mentorship truly means. I can't tell you how many people in my life took me starting young and just said, here are the mistakes I've made that were costly financially, family wise, and what have you. And I have been able to learn vicariously through them. And I cannot put a price tag on that. I look at my wife, I look at my 3 kids that are young. I look at our network. I look at the 6 businesses. I look at my life and I immediately think of the 42 people now that have literally taken me from A to B to C to D on my hero's journey. Yeah. And everybody needs that. Everybody needs that.
I can track mentors to billions of dollars of sales that have happened for me. So it was definitely worth it. And the guy that brought me that first $3 million line of credit, he said, I'm not charging you anything. He says, now after it's done, maybe we'll sit down and talk if you want to do business with me. But I love mentoring. I love being a mentor. I love having mentors. And I just want to thank you for having me today. It's been really cool to connect. And for the young ones out there that are listening, the old ones out there that are listening, I hope you picked up a few tips from our conversation today, but definitely get some good advisors and board of advisors and some good folks around you and help you build that dream team.
Yep. And that's the book, Mentor to Millions, Kevin Harrington and Mark Tim. Make sure if you're listening to this, grab 2 at least copies. Give one to a mentor in your life today, and then read the other one yourself. You can see that in our show notes. We'll give you guys a link directly to buy. And Kevin, we thank you so much for this. It's been a fantastic day.
Great to be here. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, guys. Good seeing you. Keep doing what you're doing. It's really impressive. I love what you're doing, and maybe there's a way for me to help some of the young entrepreneurs that you're dealing with there too.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.